Good morning, guys. Welcome to TMX Adventures. Lisa here. Hey, today I'm prepping for a cooking class tonight. I'm jumping online with a whole lot of leaders from my branch and we're presenting a Christmas cooking class. If you want the details for that, best way to get it, can you guys give me an hour and I'll have it over under the event tab over on my website, okay? Probably easier than you guys commenting and me sharing a million links to you guys, okay? So millions exaggeration, obviously. But if you want, give me a little while. I'll put it over on TMXing Adventures and I'll put it under the event tab so you can register and watch tonight. It's all about festive cooking, but it's also about the modes of the TM6. So if you are a TM31, TM5 owner and you're like, what's exactly the difference? This might also give you just more ideas about what is the difference to decide if it's something where down the track you want to get a TM6 on your bench. But today what I'm actually going to do is I need to prep some biscuits pre-made for it. So tonight I'm going to talk about substitutions. I'm going to talk about loading it up into a beautiful jar. I'm going to show you how I've done it. Now, if you've been on with me traveling on this journey for the last 5 years online, you've probably seen this jar probably for the last 5 years. Okay, I'm pretty certain I showed you guys this first. That first year we were allowed online, and I have since refined it, changed it. My in-laws and my parents get a jar of this every year for Christmas. It is the perfect gift in both jar form or made up form. If you are going to make them up like I am, I'm going to show you today that process. I haven't got a jar together. I'm going to do that online tonight and talk about how the proportions I use and what I do and what size jar and all that jazz. But if you want something to give to a work colleague because they're going on holidays early, this is where you pre-make your biscuits, wrap them in ribbon like they show, and you gift it to them, right? If you're looking for something that's a bit more different for Christmas, you put it in a jar. So, and they don't have to own a Thermomix to get this, okay? I have a tag as well. How about I add that link over on my website as well so you can check that out. Just as I said, it's now currently 9:30. Give me till 10:30, guys, and this Eastern Standard Time, okay, not daylight saving, Queensland time. So give me a moment to do that. By the way, if you're watching on, say hi. That just lets the video show up in your newsfeed tomorrow. And those of you, well, today and tomorrow's video. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, okay? Love to know that you're on, and let me know if on YouTube where you're watching from. I know that there's so many of you who are not just Aussies, and I love that. I love that those of you who are across the globe getting more and more out of your Thermomix. So with this recipe, ordinarily it literally steps you through how to fill the jar, okay? We're not going to fill the jar, we're going to make the biscuits. So what I'm going to do on my TM6, and this is on Cookidoo, so if you've got a TM5 or a 31 but you've got a Cookidoo subscription, you can still make this, okay? I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and I'm going to go to the butter and egg step. And I said your friends without a TM6 can still make this. They literally can. The tag that I will put over on my website, it has, to a bowl, add butter, eggs, combine, add the mix from the jar, stir well, cook for, I think it's 15 minutes at 180, but we'll confirm that as we keep going. Okay, so your friends do not need a Thermomix. Yes, a Thermomix makes it easier. That's why we love our Thermomix. But if they've got a bowl and a wooden spoon, that's all it takes. Bit more elbow grease though, right? So 200 grams of butter. So got my butter. I haven't softened it because I'm not that organized, let's be real. So let's put this in. Oh, that was pretty close. I just cut it in little strips. I don't know if you can see that, but I just cut it in strips so that it would combine nicer, because in essence it's kind of like that creaming you can imagine, or you might have done when you were a child, with your grandma at the kitchen bench, right? So let's go next. 2 large eggs. Mine aren't overly large today. Now, I had a query from someone the other day about, they said, don't crack your egg on your bowl, okay? It's fine, as long as you don't have a TM31. Okay, now your TM31, their scales were a different setup, and yes, your scales were easily damaged if you had a TM31. TM5 and TM6, yours are hardy, okay? Yours, they have little shock absorbers. They're designed for when you need. They bounce on the bench a little bit, and we don't walk away from our machine. You knocking it on here, not going to damage it. Would I get a spoon and bang it on the inside of the bowl? No, you don't want to mark up your bowl. But this on the front, not going to damage your Thermomix, okay? the Germans have it all sorted when it comes to our Thermomix. I love that they have made something that is so robust. Okay, so I took mine in my caravan. The wording TMXing adventures on my website is because we've literally thermomixing adventured around Queensland in our caravan on roads that were corrugated. And we had two thermomixes on board, no scale issues whatsoever. Okay, the reason we have travel bags is actually to protect your machine from things hitting your machine, other things falling on it. Yeah, you imagine bouncing down the road and all of a sudden your toaster falls off the package, off your boxes and on top of your Thermomix, it would damage it. So it's not about your scales as much as it's more about protecting your machine, your very valuable baby, okay? So let's go, 2 eggs on here. I wondered when they asked the question, I'm like, are you worried I'm going to drop shells in? And I mean, that sometimes happens, and it's just unlucky for whoever gets the shell. Very rarely it happens. And our eggs are so incredibly fresh. I'm never worried about the quality of our eggs. We are churning through our eggs. Nothing lasts more than 3 days on my shelf here. So thankfully we have chickens. Okay, insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid, then 30 seconds, speed 4. So this is where your friends, you tell them to beat it in a bowl till it's well combined, yeah? You'll see the instructions on the labels, okay? And I think from memory, I made them so you can print multiples to a page. Or just wait for this. Oops, it's fluttering. I'm fairly certain I made the labels. It's been 11 months since we've talked about this last, but I'm pretty certain that the labels are also multiples to a page. So you can actually make up jars of this and then print your labels, stick them with sticky tape to your jar, and they're ready to go. My in-laws return the jar each year so that I can refill it for the following year. How cool is that? All right, cream that together. Now the contents of our jar. Now obviously I told you I don't have my jar contents. So what do? We come up here and we drop down our recipe. We go recipe details. And now we come up to the top and we start from the beginning. So place a large glass jar on the mixing bowl lid then, and you'll see me do talk about how to do it a little different tonight. Okay, so if you can get on. You'll learn heaps. Like, these are experienced leaders in our business who have been doing it, some of them just as long as I have. Hello, Anne, lovely to see you on. Okay, first things first is rolled oats, 150 grams. Now, if you are gluten-free, quinoa flakes is your substitute, yeah? Okay, so you can imagine putting this into a jar, yeah? I don't need to do any different. This makes about 24 biscuits, by the way. So that gives you a bit of an idea. The hardest thing I've found in the past, and I'll talk about it tonight, so get on tonight, is what size jar to use so that you don't have a big air gap or you don't run out of capacity in your jar, yeah? 200 grams of plain flour. Now, I make them gluten-free, but when I'm doing it for my in-laws, they're not gluten-free, so they get normal plain flour. It's perfectly fine either way. Something to note with our summer heat, something worth noting, I've had a few queries lately of people who have found their biscuits going flat, okay, flat biscuits. And I think it's our humidity and our heat. What's happening is your butter's so soft that by the time you're shaping them, they're already melting. And so by the time you put them in the oven, especially if your oven's not preheated, and these are people who have made the same biscuits multiple times over in the past, and they've worked A+ perfectly in the past, and then now all of a sudden that it's hot, they're tray baking, okay? They're making like a nice big flat one biscuit, which actually is a thing in some places. I went to a bakery, I think it was Gamiri, when I was traveling out to a leaders retreat earlier this year. They sold biscuits that were a standard biscuit, but they intentionally make them like a pizza. They were this size. I brought one home for the kids. It was literally this size. And they said it's a standard cookie. It's just that they intentionally push it out really flat, and then they sell them between sheets of baking paper. It was pretty cool. Anyway, I digress. All right, light brown sugar. So brown sugar, if you had dark brown sugar, just use it. Like, the idea in the jar is you get these gorgeous layers. Okay, that's the concept between, the light brown and the normal sugar. If you had caster for the normal, use caster. If you only had icing sugar, use it. Okay, you're looking for just that beautiful colors of difference in the jar. So that's actually the bottom line, what you're going for. I've put 10 grams extra in there incidentally because brown sugar is clumpy. So I'm just going to use 10 grams less on the next sugar, which is, it says golden caster. As I said, I'm just looking for different colors. That's why I said at this point you could use caster sugar. Yeah, that's why I'm using raw sugar, but don't go specially out. And if you're making these to gift to somebody, by the way, don't pull the sugar down. It stuffs up the chemical reaction in there. Like you end up with soggy biscuits or a tray bake. So don't go and say, hey, I'm just going to completely skip 120 grams of sugar. It will not work, okay? But what was I going to say about that? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, you're looking for those different layers in the jar. Yeah, so that's why. Oh, if I was making this, that's what I was going to say. If I was making this like today, where I'm making them 4 biscuits to gift to someone or take to a staff meeting or take to my child's teacher or something like that, you could just put 240 grams of a sugar in, whatever you've got. Okay, now, this is where the fun begins. You can do dried cranberries and pistachios, but pistachios are expensive, and so cranberries aren't much cheaper. So you might go, what flavors do you like? Now, if you're watching replay later, tell me your favorite cookie combination flavors. I have done over the years multitudes of different ones, and I'm actually looking at what I've put on the bench today, and I'm kind of debating. So I think I'm going to do cranberries to start off with this one. But I think I'm going to actually put, instead of doing pistachios, and I do have pistachios, hubby loves pistachios, so we do have pistachios in the house. But this is where you can get creative, okay? So in the jar, you can imagine you just put your golden sugar in. I'm trying really hard not to give you all the tips for tonight, by the way. I keep like, nope, don't say that, Lisa. So I'm going to put in cranberries. But yes, tell me your favourite combos. I might even talk about what you guys tell me tonight on the class. I'm not on the class till about halfway through, but there's going to be so many good things on there. There's going to be candied nuts and all sorts of things. Pistachio nuts, unsalted. So this is where I'm going to put in white chocolate, okay? Because I feel like it. And pistachios are expensive. So white chocolate's $4 a bag. Pistachios, $18 a bag. Which will I choose? So, and you know, if you like macadamia, cranberries and white chocolate, just divide it 3 ways. This is the beauty of this recipe. You can do your combo of favorites. If your family just likes chocolate chips, do chocolate chips. Do chocolate chips and raisins. Like, honestly, you get to do whatever works for you. What you're also wanting to think about if you're gifting them as the jar is just the layers. Think about the colors of the layers. If I was going to put my white chocolate in, my previous thing might have been, maybe I didn't have raw sugar, but I had caster sugar. Remember, we put 120 grams of brown, and then we put potentially I put raw, but maybe yours is caster because that's what's in your pantry. I wouldn't go put milk chocolate next. It's another white thing on top of a white thing. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter with the raw. The raw, you'd see a difference in height, but in the color, sorry. But, you know, think about that sort of thing when you're putting them on top. And it might be even if you've got, say your favorite thing is raisins and chocolate, dark chocolate, you might actually put the raisins underneath one of those sugar layers so that it kind of gives you more color breakup. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that stands out and looks a bit fancy. Okay, 100 grams of pistachios, and I'm doing white chocolate. So many things I want to tell you. I have to say over a glass. Oh, dearie me. Some of you will go back and you guys will have seen last year's and the year before. And you can see over the years that I've refined the ingredients, the proportions, how you pack them, what you do when there's leftovers. So those of you who can't make it, I don't think they're recording tonight, sorry. And I think it starts at 7:30 Queensland time, run for about an hour. Might go a little over because I think all the leaders are presenting at this one. So it might go a little long. There'll be so many tips though. There'll be so much to take away because it's just such an experienced group. And it's free. So jump onto that. Give me an hour. I didn't get a chance. Now there's one ingredient that's not in the jar that I need to add still. And I will give you this tip because I know some of you won't get a chance to watch tonight. If you're packing your jar, when you put the flour in earlier, put the baking powder in then. Okay, don't put it on the label for them to add, and the salt, okay, and the spices. The spices go in the jar, but normally they don't put the baking powder in. So go through, remove the jar from the thing, then it's telling you to add these things. Half a teaspoon of salt, okay, important. Put that in. So this is going, now you don't really see these on the layer of the jar. You in essence could add them anywhere. I tend to put them on top and then I just shake it so it kind of disperses in. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. But there's, as I said, there's baking powder coming up and they usually don't put that in the jar. And I would say to you, put it in the jar. Do your friend or family member that you are giving this jar to, do them a favor, okay? Half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And then it says seal and label as a present, as the present and gift. And this is where this baking powder. Why? Why do they not give it to us? So preheat oven to 190. There you go, it's a 190. Line 3 baking trays with baking paper. 200 grams of soft butter, 2 large eggs. Insert the mixing bowl and Add the content to the jar and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Put it in with the flour in your jar. Okay, I'm telling you now, save those you gift. Where is mine? Here. The hassle, so that you're just telling them to add butter and 2 eggs. Okay, that's what you want to tell them on their little tag. And you'll see that I've said that on the tag. You'll see that it just saves them the hassle. And I tend to try and put this in with the flour, if I remember. I haven't always. Sometimes it goes on top and I just give it a shake with the cinnamon and let it kind of fall down. By this stage, you want a full jar, packed up jar. If you don't have a packed up jar, there's things you can do, but you'll have to watch tonight for that or go back searching for my old videos to find out what they are. All right, on with the lid. Okay, next, 20 seconds, turn speed selector to speed 2. Something I will make mention of in a second. Spatula. Waiting for this to stop. Something I do want to make mention of because I don't want this to confuse you, and it might otherwise. Every other year since the first year, I have always made this as a half batch in a jar. So when you go later to my website and you go to print the Christmas labels, they have 100 grams of butter and 1 egg. Means you don't need such a massive jar. Okay, number 1, because otherwise it's a big amount of food. Like I'm going to show you, like look how much, and this is not combined yet, by the way. I think hopefully it's another combined step. No, it tells you to do it with a spatula, does it? No, it is going to, thank goodness. Like you can look at this. This is over 1 litre worth of food. And admittedly, there is that butter in this part as well, right? Like you wouldn't be putting that in a jar, and the egg. But it's a mighty large jar you need otherwise. And I don't know that it's necessary. So in the previous 4 years at least, come on, Bernie, there it goes. Grab the Thermomix spatula. Just give it a wiggle. It just helps the top bits get down because it's such a dry mix, which is also why your friends in a bowl can mix it. I wouldn't. It's too easy in a Thermomix. There you go, look. But it's such a large mix. I don't know that I think the first year when I tried to make it in one, there's a chunk of butter. Make sure you get that butter mixed in. That's why it's needed to be soft. That's why that first year, I think, if you look back on those very ancient videos that would have very poor quality, I'm pretty certain that's when I decided it was all too hard. And I think maybe even on camera was like, this is terrible. So let's split it between 2. Because I actually couldn't capacity-wise fit it in. And I feel like I have quite a range of jars, okay? I'm sometimes a little obsessed with collecting jars. But it certainly was something where it wasn't going to fit. So that's well combined, which I'm happy about. There was a chunk of butter before. Is there still a chunk of butter? No, that's milk chocolate. Okay, that's why. So you can see, yeah, that's at least 1 litre worth of capacity just there in a mix. Okay, so drop a tablespoon onto baking trays, leaving 5 centimetres space between each, but you don't want to push them down. Now, if it's really hot at your house, like it is a bit now, this is where I would say to you, put them in the fridge for 20 minutes beforehand so that by the time you're putting them in the oven, you're not going to end up with a flat tray bake. Okay? It's a tasty tray bake. Okay? But if you're going for circles, a tray bake's not what you're after, right? So that would be my suggestion there. If it's really quite warm and humid, to do that first with your biscuits. It means you just won't get such a flat outcome. And they cook it for 14 minutes at 190 until golden. Okay, so just going to have a look and see. I have a little tool. No, I don't have a little tool. A really handy tool for this recipe to get you 1 tablespoon is an ice cream scoop. I'll put a link over on YouTube to the ones that I have. You might have seen them before. They've got a squeezy handle on them. They come usually in 3 sizes. They come in like a tablespoon size, and then a medium, and then a massive, and they're made for ice cream scoops, but they're great for meatballs, they're great for bliss balls, they're great for things like this where you want pretty even spacing on, even sizing on them. So I will put a link to those. I just don't have it in this drawer. I think it's over in the other drawer over there. But otherwise, you're looking at 1 tablespoon balls, which is about the size of a golf ball, on a tray. So like that. Okay, 5 centimeters apart. So I'm going to do this now, and what I'll actually do, I'm not going to do it on camera, and you guys would go crazy watching me. But I will do up my tray. It's going to be 3 trays worth. Okay, I will take a photo of it. You'll see the photo, those of you on YouTube. Remember, those of you on Facebook, head over to YouTube in the evening about 7. You'll actually see if there's extra bits and pieces where I've jumped online. Hey, Julie, that's where you'll see me do those extra bits and pieces. In this case, you'll just see the photo of the tray. And then, of course, the cover photo and the end photo is the final product of the biscuits. So I hope some of you guys can make it online tonight for the free cooking class. Give me a little while. I'll get the details over on my website so you can go over and register. And that's for customers who have a TM6. Okay, so I'd love to see you over there. Remember, when you enter those details into that cooking class, put my name down as your consultant as well, so that I can, say hi afterwards and say, hey, what are you going to make? And it's always fun. You'll find things in there that you wouldn't otherwise have tried. And of course, the hints and tips are going to be phenomenal. But otherwise, guys, have a fantastic day. Give these biscuits a go. Whether you want to make them to give them to someone made, or whether you want to give them a jar so they can make it themselves. Great for Christmas, great for end of year gifts. Just great as biscuits. Like, they are really tasty. You don't need to buy biscuits when you go to Thermomix. It has been 13 years, 12 years since I have bought biscuits. So, you don't need to. You can make them with pantry ingredients that cost a couple of dollars. Yes, there's a few fancy ones in this one. I get it. Like, if you go for pistachios and cranberries and stuff, the things you may not have in your pantry, you may have to go buy. The rest of the stuff, I bet you've got already. And as well, I told you, if you're not doing a jar version, you can actually just use all the one type of sugar. Yeah, so you don't have to go and have brown and have raw or whatever they, cast or whatever you want to use there. Anyway, guys, have a fantastic day. Take care in all you're doing. I can't wait to come back to you with another video soon. And remember to share these videos, just in case someone around you has a Thermomix and they wouldn't have otherwise. Maybe they're still buying biscuits. It's time to show them there's a different way to do it. All right, so take care, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.